Hi everybody. In this lesson we want to learn how to use square roots to solve a 30, 60, 90 right triangle. Now in an equilateral triangle, like I have drawn right here, all of the sides are equal and all the angles therefore have to measure 60 degrees. And so if you bisect one of the angles, that'll make that angle be 30 degrees, and you'll also end up bisecting the opposite side over here. So if all three of these sides was originally A, then I know that this side is going to have to be A over 2. So the first thing we want to notice that if you have a 30, 60, and then this would be 90 degrees right here, if you have a 30, 60, 90 right triangle, then the side opposite the 30 degree angle is going to end up being exactly half the length of the hypotenuse. Okay, so I know that the side opposite the short leg is going to be half the hypotenuse. Now I'd like to find this other leg right here. Let's call that x just for time being. Then what I know is that x squared, this shorter side of the right triangle squared, plus this side squared, and we just saw that's A over 2, that has to equal this longer side, which is A. So I just have to solve this equation for x. So I'll get x squared here is going to equal A squared here. Now I'm going to bring this on this other side, so I'm going to subtract the A squared over 4 from both sides. And let's go ahead and just think of this as A squared over 1 and multiply by 4 over 4. So this is going to give me 4a squared minus 1a squared. That's 3a squared over 4. So since x squared is 3a squared over 4, that means that x is going to be the square root of 3a squared over 4. So notice I can write that as the square root of 3 over 2. Alright, the square root of 3 would be the square root of this one, and then the square root of 4 is 2, and then the square root of a squared will be equal to a. Alright, so notice I can also write that this way. I could write that as the square root of 3 times a over 2. Alright, notice that a over 2, that's this side right here. So this longer side is going to equal exactly the shorter side times the square root of 3. See, here's the shorter side, here's the square root of 3. So that's going to be the square root of 3 times a over 2. So if you have a 30, 60, 90 right triangle, the side that's opposite the 30 degree angle, that'll be the very shortest side, that's always going to be exactly half the hypotenuse, and this longer leg is going to be half the hypotenuse, alright, half of a, times the square root of 3. Okay, so let's do a little example of that. I've got a couple of them down here. So here I've got a 30, 60, 90 right triangle. If the hypotenuse is x, then I know that this short side, the side opposite the 30 degree, is going to be exactly half x, and then this longer leg opposite the 60 degree angle is going to be x over 2 times the square root of 3. Alright, so in this triangle here I've got 4 for the hypotenuse. So I know this side, the short side, is going to be the half the hypotenuse, which is 2. And I know this longer leg over here, y, is going to equal 2 times the square root of 3. It's just this short side times the square root of 3. Here's one more problem. I've got 5 for the short side. Well, the hypotenuse has to be twice that, right? That's going to be 10, and this longer leg is going to be 5 times the square root of 3. So all I have to do, if I have a 30, 60, 90 right triangle, is take half the hypotenuse, will give me the short side, and if I have the short side, then twice the short side will give me the hypotenuse, and then the longer leg is half the hypotenuse, in this case 5, times the square root of 3. Here's one more. In this case, they've given me the longer leg, and I don't know the shorter leg or the hypotenuse. Well, remember that this longer leg is equal to the shorter leg times the square root of 3. So the shorter leg has to be the longer leg divided by the square root of 3. And then this longer leg has to be twice this. So that's going to be 2 times the 7 over the square root of 3, which would be 14 over the square root of 3. Okay? If you can't do that in your head, just call it x for the time being, and then you would know that x times the square root of 3 has to be 7, the longer leg, so x has to be 7 divided by the square root of 3. Okay? And then for the longer, the hypotenuse is always twice the short leg, so I just multiply that by 2 and I'll get 14 divided by the square root of 3. I could rationalize those if I wanted to, but in this case maybe what I should do is just go ahead and get an approximation using the calculator. So 7 divided by the square root of 3, that's about 4.04. And 14, or just let's just double that, so that's going to be about 8.08. That would be the easiest way to do that. Okay.